Hey guys, here for another episode of Japanu Toyzu, and today we're going to be having a look at Vector Prime. You can tell that it's the Japanese version and not the American version because it's made from good plastic and looks like he does in the show. Also, I have the box for it, so yeah, we'll get in and have a look at Vector Prime. I've got nothing else to say, let's get on to it, guys. So here's Vector Prime chilling out in his time spaceship mode thingy. It's an interesting kind of design and reminds me a little bit of that weird sailboat thing from that one Deep Space Nine episode where Benny Sisko travelled to Cardassia on solar waves. Good episode, by the way. Back to the robot. This guy is jam-packed with cog details. There's cogs everywhere on this guy. It's insane. It might be one of the most detailed Transformers we've ever had. I'm not entirely sure. That might be a bit extreme statement, but when you have a look at it, you can kind of see where I'm coming from. Every inch of this guy has molded detail on him. He's even got little toe guns and a radar dish and something else on the bottom of his feet, which is pretty cool. Now, what can he do in this mode? Well, he can roll. He does have wheels on his bottom there. And I did mention all of the parts. We do have these little bits that move up and down, but that's for articulation later on. We've got these wings which can move if you really want them to. They're not really meant to for this mode. This is the standard position. The weird thing is this plastic has been getting kind of grubby and dirty, like when I pulled it off the shelf. And it's got this weird texture to it now. It's I think it might just be the translucent plastic they used back then, but it's kind of weird, something to note. What else do we have? Oh yes, on the front here we have a firing missile gimmick, which just pew. There it goes. Yeah, if you don't have this missile, you can't really have a complete-looking vehicle. It's kind of a problem, I suppose, if you lose it, but I haven't lost it, so it's all good. There's his cockpit, and there is something there, and yes, that's his head. The part that we are missing, I suppose, is this guy. The Minicon, who I can't remember his name and don't really care. I'm sure it's special to someone, but you just plop him in there. And this apparently completes his spaceship mode. No, I don't think it looks too good. It's a fun little place for it, but not essential, of course. Oh, and of course, one other feature to point out is on the other side of the ship here, we have a storage place for his sword, which you can just pull out. It's clipped in there nicely. We will talk about this sword a little bit later on, but it's cool how it goes and snugly goes back in there. Again, if you lose this piece, technically you are going to have an incomplete ship because you wouldn't have these little wing parts on the side, which could be a little bit of a bummer. I would find it a bit of a bummer anyway. And I mean, apart from the bottom being very obviously his legs, I think this is a really cool mode. It's neat. But let's look at the robot mode. An old man Vector Prime in his robot mode, once again jam-packed with detail. He looks lovely, really good. And there is something about the sculpting on his face, and obviously all the cogs and all the details and all the paint apps really do help to make this character look old, look ancient, look like he doesn't really belong in the same era as the rest of the Transformers from this line. Which is cool. He still fits in though, don't get me wrong. I do kind of get, I suppose, a Knight of the Round Tables kind of vibe from this guy, and maybe that's what they were going for. I can't really remember. It's been a while since I've watched Cybertron/Galaxy Force. Now, in terms of articulation, he has a big old swiveling head. Of course, that was for the transformation. His arms are on ratchet joints, so is his shoulders. You can see the ratchet there. It's real big. And luckily, because the shoulder pad moves up, you can extend the arm all the way up to here, so a lot of motion. Of course, if you want it up here, you gotta move his little elbow or forearm pad, I suppose. Otherwise, it just goes up to this point. But again, you have the option to raise it. We have, again, ratchets in his shoulder. Elbow. It's an elbow. Not many clicks to it, big clunky ones as well. A bit scary to do, I find, but yeah, they're there. We have a bicep swivel, but it's not really in the place I would like it. And if it was set further up, he could cross his arms a bit. And it looks like he should be able to move his wrist because of this cut. But at least with mine, I'm too scared to move it. We have the skirt here which moves forward, which allows him, of course, to move his legs forward to a good amount, you know. Boom. And then he can bend his knee, of course, 90 degrees. And his foot if you need it to. And he does have a little swivel here below the leg. Oh, before I forget, they can move outwards as well. So yay, quite a good amount of posing, if all clunky and ratchety, of course. And I did mention the wings before, you can move them up. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, I suppose, let's get this bit out of the way. We didn't look at too much at this part, but what you can do is if we'll move these parts, come on. Well, you can move it up if you want like that and reposition it, or you can, for some reason, it's got a joint here, and I don't know why. But hey, if you want a posable little cape, it's there, because that's how I look at it. It's like a little cape, and it works quite well. So, robot mode, accessories, same as before, but let's have a closer look at the sword, at least at this point. We'll have to zoom in and then refocus, because that's what I have to do these days. And the detail on the sword is really cool. I do like it. And again, it is worth mentioning that, yes, granted, the handle is a little bit stubby. Compared to the American one, this plastic was really, really bad. For the Japanese version, it's much more solid and stable and ain't going all floppy, all willy-nilly on you and whatnot. So that's always good. It does just go in his hand. It goes in a lot easier into this hand than it does the other hand for some reason. I don't know why. That's just how it rolls. And then, you know, you can position him and make him look all cool, like he's about to shank you. I think that's what the kids call it these days, shanking, yeah? That's what knights did to people back in the day. Give them a good old shanking. Oh, don't fall over. How are you, mate? Come on. Come on. There you go. He's fine. He's okay. His other accessory is the Cyberplanet Key or Force Chip. This is the coolest of all of the Cyberplanet Keys Force Chips, because we have the symbols for each of the planets here, here, and here. We also have that little one which I can't really make out. On the back as well, it's been filled out. It's not a giant gaping hole there. It's got that nice bit. What we can do is if we shove it into his slot... Ooh, don't fall over. What would happen is you click it in and it would make some kind of noises. I don't do that because I can't be bothered to put batteries in and then take them out. But you can imagine, I'm sure, some kind of clockwork sound or some kind of crazy mumbo jumbo, I'm sure. But there you go. It's cool. I like that Cyberplanet Key. It's neat. And the final accessory is this little dude, of course, his little friend, which again has quite a lot of molded detail in it. As you can see, it's pretty cool. It's pretty good. I'm not going to do a fancy transformation for this guy. He just kind of folds out, and then you kind of fold the gun back, which does give him a third leg, which helps him balance quite well, which is neat. We'll put him down there, and we'll have a closer look at him. I mean, look at this guy. He's tiny, but he's got a lot of detail packed into him, and he's a fairly solid little robot. I mean, granted, his alt mode's not great, and he does have a bit of articulation to him. His elbows will bend and are on a slight ball joint. His arms will go all the way around, so you can get a little bit of stuff out of him there. And his legs will bend individually, and you know they've got a bit of movement to them, which is cool. Though he's not the most posable of guys, it's kind of nice that it's there. And finally, what you can do with this dude is you can make him into a gun. You simply flip the wings, I guess, down, and yeah, that's his gun mode. And then you just peg to port. And boosh, Vector Prime has a gun on his arm and he can now shoot dudes. Because he may be from the past, but he still believes in shooting people. And that's really Vector Prime. That's all of him. Overall, I think Vector Prime is a really good display piece and a really fun little toy. For the time when he came out, I think the articulation works quite well. I'm not a huge fan of the ratchety joints in his elbows and shoulders. I think they're a bit too stiff. And if he had a swivel just above his ratchety joint there, he could get so much more posing with his sword done. Not a huge thing, but it would have been nice to have seen. Vector Prime is a good transformer in my eyes, and really worth having if you can. Get the Japanese one, because like I say, much better colouring. Anyway guys, thanks you for watching this video, and I will catch you next time for something else. I don't know what though.